share their wisdom. Michael Scallop. Words of encouragement, words of courage, wise words. Some of our most influential figures share share the advice that's helped them most. Good advice respects the recipient's autonomy, offering insights without taking away their sense of agency. It is rooted in empathy, aiming to uplift and empower rather than control. It aims to provide clarity and direction while encouraging self-reflection, allowing the person to find their own answers. Most importantly, good advice is given at the right time, when the recipient is open and ready to hear it. On point, well-timed advice is one thing, but not all advice is wanted. Unwelcome advice is a common problem, especially in the age of social media, where everyone feels free to offer their opinions without being asked. The mind can feel patronus, let's see this word, patronus, I suppose.
Patronizing.
Patronizing, it often implies that the person receiving advice is not capable of handling their own challenges, while unwanted advice can feel intrusive. In navigating how to receive it can be just as challenging. One strategy is to recognize that advice often reflects the experiences and perspectives of the person giving it. It may say more about their worldview than it does about you. If you still feel defensive, ask yourself why. Resistance can sometimes mask a fear of vulnerability. For example, you need to see yourself as someone who already has all the answers. Feeling as though you should already know something can evoke shame, making it hard to accept guidance. Socrates. Is it Socrates? Let's see. Not in here. Not in here. I'm not going to see it in here. I'm going to see it in something else. This one.
Socrates.
Socrates emphasized the value of humility and openness in learning. Let's see this word. If I struggled to pronounce some word, I will see it. Humility. I see this word before. Humility and openness. Is it openness? Let's see again. This word. Openness and learning. He believed that embracing our ignorance is the first step towards wisdom. Advice I'm taking on, ultimately the best advice, whether given or received, opens up new perspectives and helps us grow. Philippa Perry. Joan Armstrong. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Never be afraid to pursue what you truly want. The best advice I ever received came from my grandmother, via my mother. Never be afraid to pursue what you truly want. These words have stayed with me all my life. I didn't have a background in music. My father showed me how to tune the guitar, then led me to it. After my mother swapped to old prams to buy the instrument, everything else I taught myself: songwriting, performing, producing, engineering, and more. Being afraid to try anything new can hold you back. I debuted. Let's see this word.
Debuted.
I debuted my first symphony last year. My grandmother's simple yet powerful message reminds me to always follow my own path. How did this happen and what does it now mean? Is out on 2020 November on PMG. PMG. Sir Michael Gain. Champions and stars don't wallow in misfortune. They get up and get on with it. Wallow. Let's see this word. I think it's wallow.
Wallow.
Wallow. Wallow. Yeah. I came up with this nugget. Nugget is it nugget or nugget? Let's see how to pronounce it.
Nugget.
Nugget. I came up with this nugget myself. Got on with it. Works for everything in life. Apply for a job. Apply for a course. Get it in shape. Learn a skill. Ask a successful person for advice and monitoring. Keep moving and trying new things. I treated myself as one-man studio, a one-man operation, determined to do the work I wanted to by hook or by crook. Have the patience to wait for the breakthrough and don't to come about in a predictable way. I was just about the last of my gang of actors to become famous. Don't look back. You'll trip over. My Guide to Life by Michael Gain is out now. Is it Michael Gain? Do I pronounce it correctly? Don't know. Nadia Hussein. Anger is often more harmful than the injury that caused it. My year 8 teacher told us this. Following endless class arguments, he sadly passed away that year, but the advice stuck with me. I was an angry child, dismissive and pessimistic. He made me realize how destructive this can be, making situations worse and distracting from the problem that needs solving. I'm learning to be better at holding that anger back, taming it and returning to it with understanding. Cook Once, Eat Twice by Nadia Hussein is out now. Let's see this one. They're advertising themselves. Taming. Umaid Dijalali. Make sure the first thing you say on stage is funny. When I met successful and respected stand-up comedian Norm MacDonald at the Montreal. Is it Montreal or Montreal? Let's see how to pronounce it.
Montreal.
Montreal Comedy Festival in 2015, I asked, what's the secret of good comedy? He said, the trick is to make sure the first thing you say on stage is funny, and then make sure the second thing you say is funny, and then the third thing you say is funny, and then he got called on to stage, and I didn't see him again. 2 years later, I bumped into him at LA airport, and before I even had the chance to say hello, he said, and then the fourth thing you say, you can't argue with that. T. Omaid Dijalali in Namaste on tour throughout the UK. Dami Sheila Hancock. Tomorrow is another day. Generally, I've loathed slogans to live by. As a child, I was told little girls should be seen and not heard. And now, I know your place. It took me 70 years to defy those. Now, I quite fancy tomorrow is another day. Let's see this word, defy. Do I pronounce it?
Defy.
It's defy. Yeah, surprisingly. Scarlet or harass. Last line in Gone with the Wind. It strikes a chord with me, with its multitude of meanings. I get a lot of pain from. What was this word? Let's see how to pronounce it.
Rheumatoid.
Rheumatoid. Rheumatoid. Authorities. Again, another word that I can't even pronounce. Let's see it. Rheumatoid and this word.
Arthritis.
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 Arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis. Arthritis. A bad day can feel insurmountable. Insurmountable. This word. Let's see how to pronounce it again.
Insurmountable. Insurmountable.
Insurmountable. Insurmountable.
Insurmountable.
Insurmountable. Insurmountable. I'm believing I'll be crawling on my knees eternally. A day later, I'm absolutely fine. Similarly, a sleepless night, fretting. This word, another word. This woman giving me a lot of
Fretting.
words that I didn't know.
Fretting.
Fretting, many words that I didn't know.
Fretting.
Fretting. Fretting over the most worrying problems is soon forgotten. Whatever is plugging you. Know this word. What's I like about this website? It's
Plaguing.
plaguing. It's highlighted the word in yellow, that you can see it. Plugging you. The awful times won't last forever. It also means being open to change. Anything can be done differently tomorrow in life's long adventure. And quite honestly, aged 90, 91, I'll be grateful if any tomorrows at all still lie ahead of me. So, move further. Be willing to adapt. Being willing to adapt, it is something my mum has said to me since I was a kid back home in Somalia. For years afterwards, I didn't understand what she'd meant. As I got older, it made so much sense to me. Be open to new cultures, new languages, new ideas, not just what you already know. Don't expect everything to stay the same. Whatever environment you're thrown into, don't judge, be open-minded. Without that outlook, all I've achieved would have been impossible. Arriving in England, I see now, it allowed me to make friends and connections and build a life in a place that at first was unfamiliar. And certainly it helped me in my career. Every race is different, so work with what's in front of you. It's what I tell young people today. There's so much you can achieve if you're open to it. It's lovely advice, I suppose. Damie Mary Beard. You don't have to be boring. That was the advice given to me by an older colleague, the Mayphoric Roman historian Keith Hopkins. After I had given him the draft of one of my early academic articles to discuss it, he took me to lunch at the Pizza Express near the British Museum, and when we got to, I confessed the second bottle of wine, we turned to my article. The argument was fine. He said, but it was. Imagine there's hesitation here. A bit boring. You don't have to be boring, Mary. It wasn't what I wanted to hear, and it must have taken some courage, Dutch and other, for him to say it. But it was the best advice. Ever since I have tried only to be boring when absolutely necessary. Let's see this word, Dutch. I pronounce it as a Dutch. Is it?
Dutch.
Yeah, is it? It is. Russell T. Davies. Hold the line. The greatest advice I was ever given, apart from don't buy a cheap ironing board, is simply hold the line. My friend and colleague Julie Gardner first said it to me 20 years ago when we embarked on a production of Casanova, which everyone turned down. Hold the line, she'd say, and that's how she got the show made, by never giving up. Now, every time I could collapse or compromise or rage and weep and despair, I mutter, hold the line. Julie and I once sat in the BBC canteen at 8, 9 or 9:30 p.m. with a program in tatters. Okay, we'd been dealt blow after blow. No budget, no cast, no support, no hope, but we sat there, we laughed, we had called Carrie, and we held the line, and we got it made. John Lithgow, I suppose. Lithgow, I don't know him. I don't know if one of those people. They're all new for me, all. Never be afraid to say no. I'm acting on stage these days with a wonderful young actor named Tisa Bonham Jones. She recently sought, sought out a career advice from Lindsay Duncan, a great London actor, twice her age. To Tisa, I suppose, Lindsay's best counsel was concise. Never be afraid to say no. When Tisa quoted Lindsay's wise words to me, I was startled to realize I'd received them about 60 years too late. Actors like me are, what's this word? Congenitally afraid to say no, which accounts for the fact that half the acting jobs I've ever done were ghastly mistakes. Dr. Maggie Adrien Pocock. Have a big crazy dream. As a child, I was not considered bright. Undiagnosed dyslexia made the fundamental building blocks of reading and writing quite hard for me. I'd come home disheartened after another failure at school. But Dad would say, have a big crazy dream, Maggie. It may take you longer and you might not get there, but if you love it, you will have great fun along the way. I've made many crazy dreams in my life, but the strongest has been the desire to get out there into space. And my father was right. It is amazing fun pursuing that dream, whether I make it or not. Lem Sissy. Take it easy, but take it all. I was 17 and had been given a 2-day release from Wood End Assessment Centre in Atherton for a trip to Manchester. That night I was supporting a revolutionary band called African Dawn, and I read my poems on stage. It was my first public reading. The next day, the band and I visited the Workers' Film Association, which was what was this word? See?
Derelict.
9,000 square feet Edwardian warehouse, rebuilt by the workers on the borders of Helm, I suppose, Old Trafford and Moss Side. Woo Waters was the founder and pretty hardcore moist. When we left, Woo waved and said, "Take it easy." Then he tapped me on the shoulders and said with a glint, let's see this word, is it glint?
Glint.
Yeah, it's glint. Glint in his eye, but take it all. His words have always stuck with me, and I don't know why. Oh, this going on and on. I've already reading for 20 minutes. Stephen King. Do kill your darlings. At high school, I got a job writing sports stories for a weekly paper called The Enterprise. The editor was John Gould, Gould or Gould, whatever. Hey, let's see how to pronounce this name.
Gould.
Gould. As well as being the boss of the enterprise, he wrote dozens, maybe hundreds, of witty essays. He looked at my first column on a local hopster who had broken the Lipson Falls high scoring record. I thought this will be a great article, but isn't a great article. I got tired. I literally get tired of reading this article. It's going on, and I don't want to read it. I'm not gonna continue reading this article. It's annoying.